Hey y'all, welcome in. Those of you that are joining us, thank y'all so much for joining us. This is our Meet the Maker series, and this time our maker is an author, and I am super excited to introduce Kayla Robinson to you, y'all. Kayla will be joining us at NorseForged Gathering, which will be May 22nd through 24th in New London, North Carolina. At the gathering, it is a fantasy Ren Fair experience, and there will be all kinds of things going on. There will be mermaids, pirates, LARPing, gaming, all kinds of things. So, one of the amazing things that you can do is meet wonderful vendors like Kayla, who has um, one World Series where there are two so far, and then another one. Oh no.
I don't know what just happened, but it literally just kicked me out and then yeah, sorry.
YouTube be tubing.
Apparently. It's just the whole app shut down. That was weird.
Yes. It was tired of me talking about the gathering and all that stuff, and it said, "Let Kayla speak."
It's fine. Everything's fine.
So, round of applause and big huzzah for Kayla. Woo!
I'm excited. I'm really excited to be there this year. This will be my second year attending, but last year I was just like a guest of the event.
Yes, and I was lucky enough to meet you there because I was waiting in line for mead, and I heard somebody say, "I love your tattoos," and I turn around and I see her, and I was like, "I love your tattoos," because correct me if I'm wrong, but your whole sleeve is Avatar themed, right?
Yes. Yeah. We've got Appa at the top, and then we've got the dragon down on my arm. So yeah, the whole sleeve is all Avatar themed.
Which is divine, so divine. I love that.
It's probably one of my favorite shows of all time, I think.
Honestly, it's so timeless. Like, we'll be watching it in our 80s.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I watch it probably more than I should admit, actually. Never mind. I
No,
was working
that's
yeah, I was working on a scene for one of my books, and I needed a reference point for, like, fire magic versus water magic, so I just turned on the episode with Katara and Paku where they do their little fight scene, and that was, like, all I needed to get the creative juices flowing again.
oh my gosh. Right? What an inspirational show. And so why don't we lead with that? Because I mean, we want to know all about you and where you're from. So what, like, growing up, are some things that inspired you, because that is a beautiful example, beautiful scene.
Yeah, Avatar: The Last Airbender for sure. One of my favorite books growing up was Wicked Lovely by Melissa Marr. I don't have it on my shelf, unfortunately, because I was borrowing it from the library at that time. Um, but that was probably one of the most influential books growing up that sort of got me into wanting to maybe write eventually. There were a couple other fantasy series. I think I have almost exclusively read fantasy for like ever. um, but so Wicked Lovely, Avatar: The Last Airbender. Um, what are other shows that I used to watch? Danny Phantom, another classic. And uh, I don't know. I think those are the only ones that would have like influenced me as a person and as a writer, probably.
What was it about them that really you felt like made it so special?
There were a lot of life lessons in Avatar, especially that made that one so special. And like you were saying earlier, like it's you can watch it as a kid and it'll do something for you. You can watch it as a teenager and it does something. You can watch it as an adult and you see it in a different light. So just like, I don't know, that in general is a timeless show. Um, Wicked Lovely was interesting because I related very significantly to the characters in that book. So that kind of helped both make me feel less alone because I was definitely the weird outcast kid. Um, and also just like kind of helped shape me a little bit into the person that I am. I don't know if that answered your question or not, but
No, I think so, because it's really important to feel a connection. It's really important to feel like that you fit in, and I feel like with the gathering, that's a really big avenue because you find people who have like all these different interests, But they share the same interest because that interest is nerddom.
Yes. Yeah. And it's hilarious to me because I didn't get into D&D until 2 years ago, and that would have been something I would have loved as, like, a teenager or, even maybe as a kid if I could have understood it at that point, but because I was sort of the outcast, the weird horse girl, the really, really smart kid that didn't belong with anybody, I didn't get into any of those group activities, but
But now you are, and if I remember correctly, you're going to a fantasy ball in Paris?
yes. Not Paris directly, Château de Pierrefonds, France. So
Eh,
so, where did they say it
somewhere
was?
beautiful.
Yeah, the castle from Merlin is where it's at.
Wait,
Yeah.
Merlin the show?
Yeah. So, I
Oh my
totally
gosh.
funny story, I didn't realize what show they were talking about. They were just talking about how it was at a castle from a really popular show. So, I thought of Game of Thrones, and then finally, like, somebody had said at one point it was the castle from Merlin, and I was like, "Oh, well, it's still cool," but I totally thought I was going to the Game of Thrones castle.
That is still so cool, though. Merlin is an excellent show.
Yeah. I didn't watch that one too much because I think that was on when, like, I didn't have cable, but
Yeah,
I'm sure I would like it if I found it on a streaming service for sure.
yeah. Because, like you were saying before, growing up without D&D was the same path for me. I had no idea what it was. Um, so, like, when you find your people, you start to find things like this. So, like, getting to go to a fantasy ball, like, that is so cool. And, another fun fact about you is that you cosplay as your one of your characters, right?
Yeah, at least one. I'm planning to cosplay as each of my female main characters for all 3 days of the gathering. I don't know which day will be which, but
That is so cool. So tell us a little bit more about these characters.
yeah. So I was actually asked a question the other day at an event, which was like, what parts of yourself make it into your books? And it was I hesitated to answer at first because it's a very long story. But my first female main character, her name is Mira, and she's kind of a more standoffish, very like Shigo-esque character if I had to pick someone in fiction who she would probably be the most similar to. So she was kind of the badass that I always wanted to be, and also has a lot of the similarities of like masking with ADHD and a little bit of CPTSD. So that was the part of me that kind of went into that character. She is a mage that uh spoiler-ish is also a half vampire. So that plays a huge part in the story as it goes through. Um, my second female main character's name is Eliza, and she is a little bit more of a naive character because she's been really sheltered. Like she hasn't been able to leave the palace. So the part of me that made it into that character is that I was a very sheltered kid. Like I wasn't allowed to go out and do fun things. So that's kind of the part of me that's in her, and she learns how to be herself and how to become her own person eventually, and then learns more about the world as she explores it. Um, and she's a fire mage. She's the last fire mage, so it's drawing some parallels from Avatar: The Last Airbender, um, except with fire, not with air. And then my third female main character's name is Nivara. She's actually the oldest of the 3 female main characters, so I kind of published the books almost backwards. So her story takes place 4,000 years before Wickedly Immortal. And, she's the first vampire in the realm where Firestorm and Nightshade take place, and the part of me that made it into her is, like, the protector of everybody else, because I became the protector that I wish I had as a kid. So yeah, that
That
was a
is
very
so
long story, but
no, that is awesome because what you did with cosplaying your character because I remember seeing after I followed you after the gathering finding out that you were cosplaying one of your characters and I thought oh my gosh that's so cool and I started writing a side series for my book and I managed to include a Scotty character in there which is just a brain-addled elf-like being.
Nice. I love that.
So it kind of fits. So now whenever I'm weird or awkward, it's just like, "Oh, it's because your brain has been addled by time."
Yeah, I love that.
So you mentioned something that to me is really interesting, and that was an excellent question that they asked you, by the way. How do you put yourself in a book? But you said that you kind of wrote the series backwards. What was that like, and what have you found have been like the good things to come out of doing it backwards like that?
So, full disclosure, when I started Wickedly Immortal, I didn't actually have the idea for Navarre's book in my head yet. I'm very much a pantser, so like I don't have an outline necessarily all of the time. So with Wickedly Immortal and working through that trilogy, um, it was a story that I've had in my head since high school. So if I could get the laptops that are still in my closet to work, I could probably go back and see what I wrote all the way back then. Um, but it was it was cool to write it backwards by the time it all came together in my mind because I was able to take the two books in Wickedly Immortal and the book Firestorm and write them in tandem. So like the events are all taking place at the same time and there's a lot more inner working between the two. And then I think it actually worked out very well that I didn't write Navarra's story until the end because this is gonna make me sound a little bit crazy. Um, so when I'm
We're
writing,
with
I'm kind
you.
of yeah. When I'm writing, I'm kind of like in the mind of my characters. I write in first person. So I see the other characters through their point of view. So writing Firestorm and Nightshade, I saw Navarra only through their point of view and only through what they knew about her, which is what they would have learned from other people. Um, and then like as I was working through Nightshade, there were things that were happening, which makes it sound like I'm not in control of the story, but I was just writing what my characters were doing, right? And there were things that were happening where I was like, "This doesn't make any sense." And then I sat down to write Navarra's book, and it all came full circle, and I was like, "Oh, that's why." Because I am a pantser, and it really just I it's almost like channeling. You mentioned before we jumped on live that I'm kind of also witchy, and I feel like I'm channeling something when I'm writing these stories. So, what I was putting into the other books from somebody else's perspective is what I would have seen if I were channeling them as a person, right? And then I jumped into Navarra and her story just kind of like channeled through me in a weird way. But yeah.
That is so cool. And I mean, when you explain it like I said, we're with you. It makes sense.
Yeah.
But it kind of sounds like it was meant to be written that way.
Yeah, because I think it also had to come out that way because some of what is in the books is also me like real time processing my own traumas from growing up. Um so in some ways these characters actually helped me through the parts of my life that I was writing these books during. But
Yeah, because it's true. What they say is writing is healing, and I mean, what a cathartic process to put into writing things like that, and then have it as like a little baby.
yeah. I I did cry a little bit during like writing the last book in this universe for two different reasons. But the one that I want to mention is like there was one line that I wrote that kind of brings all three of the female main characters together. And when my friend wrote it, she also cried because she like has known me for a really long time, so she kind of knows the parallels between me and the characters already. But yeah, I won't read the line because it's part of the epilogue and it'll spoil the whole thing.
Oh, okay. So we'll have to read it.
Yeah, yeah.
That's fun.
That was one of my I think there were 3 lines in that book that I absolutely loved, and I think 2 of them are probably not something I can say on YouTube, unfortunately.
In that case, it makes you want to read it even more.
It does, yes, because 'cause they're kind of violent, but they're also, like they're just awesome. that Navarra's book is full-blown feminine rage, which also relates very closely with a lot of things happening right now. So,
So with that writing process, why don't we get into it a little bit? Because you mentioned that like you put some of yourself into it to use it as a way to like process some things. So for you, what has that writing process been like? And what are some of your reflections on it?
oh, that's a loaded question.
I know.
Um, it's I'm trying to figure out how to describe it. It's been interesting because, for Firestorm and Nightshade specifically, I was writing those at a time where I completely relocated and, like, walked away from the entire community that I built, so I was literally alone down here in Kentucky. Um, which also forced me as a person to learn more about myself because my first character I mentioned does a lot of masking with ADHD. I was masking my whole life. I did not know who I actually was underneath the masks. So working through writing Firestorm and Nightshade was also working alongside with everything I was doing in my personal life to like find myself. And then through that process, I've actually cut off some people, which is something obviously I worked through with like my therapist. But the writing process in that way has been interesting because it has literally helped me heal. And I'm still obviously working through some things because that didn't fix it all. But it was really cool to grow with my characters and have them weirdly help me through it. Like there's a lot of quotes in Firestorm and especially in Nightshade that I mentioned how I feel like I channel when I'm writing that almost felt channeled directly to me. So I'm hoping that whoever reads it also needs those words and it helps them too.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I'm not gonna get emotional though. I swear.
No.
I was like for a second there, but no, we're good.
That is really amazing though. Like and again, like your response just fully confirms like right the power of writing as a healing tool and like you said using that along with therapy is I mean it doesn't get much better.
Yeah. Yeah, there was I think there were 2 moments where I got stuck writing, and I was also stuck in other ways. And it was funny because my therapist knows that I'm also a writer. So in those moments, he was like, "You know, there feels like there's a hardcore tangent here between your life and your writing because you're stuck on this and your character's also stuck on this. So maybe you should figure out what your character's going to do and that'll help you figure out what you're going to do." And it actually did. Like when I finally got going again, it started with the character and then translated to me.
I
So,
love that. It's like a codependency with your character.
yeah,
But not
yeah.
not in an unhealthy way. You know, we're learning together, we're holding each other's hand kind of way.
Yeah, yeah. Because the character specifically for one of them was Slade, which is the MMC. And he was kind of facing a moment in life where the only job he'd ever been able to do, he couldn't do anymore. And so it was like, well, what do I do now? Like that was all I knew. And that was kind of the point that I was at in my life as well. I was a horse trainer, like hardcore full time on top of my full time job. And I moved down here and I have had one client in the last year and 6 months. And so I was like, what do I do? So I helped him work through it and then I helped myself work through it. But
That is awesome. One thing you mentioned was writer's block, which I know a lot of folks really struggle with, self included. So to talk a little bit about the writing process, when you were like getting through it and you hit the writer's block, what were some things that really helped?
it depended on the moment, truthfully. So for my first series, when I would hit writer's block, I would usually just jump into like reading something totally different. So I write primarily about vampires. I'd read something about Fae, or I don't even know what one of the other books that I would have read at the time, but I also would like jump into TV shows or movies or something that's different just to sort of keep my brain in a creative space, but not necessarily about my books. Um, one of them was Arcane. I watched the Arcane
Ooh.
series when I hit a writer's block. And then by the time I finished that series, my brain was like buzzing with, oh, like this theme was really cool. I feel like I could use that. And so it kind of helped me get back into the groove. But, and sometimes just a really good song. Like the book Firestorm came from the song I'm Gonna Get You Back by Taylor Swift. So like when I was writing Wickedly Immortal, that's when that came, or maybe it was shortly after I wrote Wickedly Immortal is when that came out. And then it was on repeat. And I was like, oh my God, this is the perfect enemies to lovers song. Let me write a book about it.
That is awesome. So really inspiration could come from anywhere. You just kind of have to look for the right kind.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're stuck, you just kind of have to give yourself the chance to breathe and step into something else. And so some of the other things I've done too that I forgot to mention is like I'll even start a totally separate work in progress. So if I reach a block with a really dark fantasy, I'll jump over and I'll do like a rom-com. And I'll just start writing something random for that. And that helps me get unstuck because it sort of breaks the thought process, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. And I feel like I do that too because I've got the ADHD brain where it's like you put one thing on the shelf and you have to give yourself grace to say that's okay for it to stay on the shelf for a minute. Sometimes that's hard to do, but you just got to be nice with yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I the same thing happens with like reading too or TV shows. Sometimes you just kind of reach a point where you're like, I'm not really feeling this anymore. And then you find something else that fits whatever vibe you're feeling.
Exactly. So with the publishing process, I know you're self-published. Um what was it like to get into self-publishing? Because I know for me, I've done the same thing and it seemed like such an impossible thing. But once I got into it, there were a lot of surprises. So what was that process like for you?
So, I feel like I have to start at the beginning to make that make sense. I don't know that I ever actually planned to publish a book, in the first place. Like, I always wanted to write one, but I had no idea how to publish one. So when I was writing Wickedly Immortal specifically, the only reason that I published it was because I shared it with one of my closest friends, and she like was in love with it and gushing over it and desperate for more. So I think I sent her like the first 5 or 6 chapters, and immediately wanted the entire book. So then I was frantically trying to finish it. Um, but once I finished it and, like, a couple people had read it, and they all agreed that it was actually worth publishing, getting into it was horrifying because, oh my god, now I have to share my work with people who don't even know me, um, which is, like, insane. And then also, what do I do? Like, where do I go? Who do I talk to? So I spent a lot of time doing research on traditional publishing and self-publishing because my friend was like, "Oh, you can just publish it on Amazon." And I was like, I don't even know what that means. Um, so as I started to kind of go through that process, obviously you need a cover. I didn't have anybody who could make one for me that I could afford. So I don't know if you would be even seen this, but this was my original published version of Wickedly Immortal.
Oh,
So
wow.
the graphite sketch that I did, and then I like put it on my printer, scanned it into the computer, and then like manipulated it with the free version of Photoshop to make it into a cover. So I didn't do anything necessarily the right way at first. Um, but I after some research, I realized that self-publishing was the fastest way to get the book out there and arguably the best way because traditional publishing takes years. So like I could have had this whole manuscript done. I could have continued writing and, written all the rest of my books and none of them could still be published today if I hadn't gone the self-publishing route. Especially because they don't seem to want new ideas, or rather, they don't want unique ideas. They want things that follow the same sort of all the books they've already published. So that was really what sent me to self-publishing because like I wanted to maintain control over my story. I didn't want someone to say, "Oh no, you can't write that because it's too dark," or "You can't write that because people won't like it." I don't care if people like it. That's the story. Like there will be people who like it and there will be people who don't like it. Um so the publishing process has been interesting because obviously I started with Amazon and now that I know what I know, I wouldn't have started there. I would have bought my ISBNs myself. I would have probably published through Ingram, but it's kind of like a awkward learning curve.
Oh no, did we lose you? Let's see. Chat, can y'all still hear me?
I think that YouTube just doesn't
Oh,
like me.
I was like, oh no.
I wonder if I shouldn't also have my computer ready the next time and just join from my computer. We'll see what happens. But
It may not work from a computer, to be honest, because we've tried with laptops, and for some reason, the YouTube Live just does not like anything but a smart device.
that's
I,
weird. Well,
I don't know. Anyway, rude
I
YouTube.
have my computer with but I think I finished answering the question, maybe. I don't know. Did I miss anything?
So I think the last thing we got was um you wish you had bought your ISBN numbers.
Oh, yeah. If I knew then what I knew now, I would have bought the ISBNs myself and published through Ingram. Because that like it depends on your goals. If you want to be in a bookstore, Ingram is the way to go because that's how all the bookstores get their books. If you don't care about being in a bookstore, then Amazon's the cheaper way to go because it'll still get the book out there to people, but you won't have to do a lot of the upfront costs. So
Oh, okay. So
yeah.
that's some things to weigh whenever you're deciding whether or not you want to do your own book series. Because that's a lot of things. Like these are things I had no idea. Getting into it.
Yeah, and like you have to have so let's say you don't go with Amazon. You have to have an ISBN for every version of the book. So paperback, hardcover, audiobook, ebook, they all need their own. The ebook is technically optional, I think, for ISBNs. Um, but like if you're going to publish a series, and let's say the series is 3 books and you have 3 ISBNs per book, that's 9 total ISBNs. So you almost want to know what you're going to do ahead of time because if you want to publish through like Ingram, for example, buying ISBNs in bulk is much more affordable. So you can buy 10 at a time, and I think they're only about $30 each, or you can buy 100 and they're only $5 each, which is what I'm planning to do at some point. But yeah.
That's awesome. So with the writing process itself too, because like book publishing is its own separate beast, but even getting started with a story is a completely different story. So you said you started writing in high school. When you start the writing process, like between then and now, what were some things that you feel like are helpful with your writing process?
Like tools or what do you mean specifically? Because I could go on for hours.
See that's what I'm curious about. If there are particular writing tools that you'd like to talk about, I'd love to know about those. But I'm thinking about like the kind of people that want to write a story but don't really know how to really sit down and start it, because when you think about a whole book, it's overwhelming because it's this one huge piece. Um, so I guess how you like break down once you have the story in your head.
Yeah. There's a couple different things. So, there's 2 different ways to write a story, first of all. You can be a pantser, which is what I tend to be, and a pantser is where you're literally flying by the seat of your pants. I think that's why it's called pantser. So when you're a pantser, you kind of have the idea of the story in your head, and you just sit down and you just start writing, and you just write whatever comes to mind, just getting words on a page. Um, Sometimes you end up going chronologically the whole way through the book. Sometimes you have a scene in your head and you go write that scene, and then you go back and like write everything leading up to it. Um, so you could do it that way, and if you're gonna do it that way, I my advice is to find like background noise or music or something that fits the vibe of what you want to write so it can help you get in the zone. So like if you're writing something in a medieval tavern, play a tavern music playlist in the background and it'll help you kind of get into the story. If you want to have more of a structured way of writing, then you could be a planner. And that's where you're going to do like an outline. So for Firestorm and Nightshade, kind of. Um, Initially, what happened is I heard the song "I'm Gonna Get You Back," and I wrote 40,000 words in a weekend just based on that song. Like I sat down in my chair, I pulled out my laptop, and I just started writing based on a vibe. I had no idea where the story started or where it was going to end, but I wrote the middle. Like I didn't know why they were doing what they were doing. I didn't know where they were going, but that was kind of where that one started. Um, And then once I had like the vibe, I had to think of the plot. Like, oh crap, there needs to be a story, right? So that's where the outline came in. And I was like, okay, well, we have this character and she has this magic, and we've got this country and that country. And then you build out the politics. And so, like, now you're getting into having 40,000 notes in a notebook somewhere of each character, who they are, where they're from, like what their values are, and then you have to piece that together in the outline for the story. So it's almost like that meme where you see the guy with the crazy eyes and the like, red lines all across the wall connecting it. That's kind of what planning it feels like. And that's really overwhelming for some people, especially for me. So, like, my first trilogy was entirely pantsing. Firestorm started off as pantsing, branched into an outline, and then went right back to pantsing. So I kind of stuck to the plan, like, so to speak. I stuck to the overarching plan, but how we got there tended to change as I started writing it. And the other part of the process is you can't let yourself not write something because you think it's going to be bad, because it has to be bad or it'll never be good. So like the hardest thing weirdly enough for me to write is actually the spice scenes in my books. Like I cannot take them seriously when I'm trying to write them. Um but I have to get them on the paper first, and then I can go back and like make it sound nice. But I have to put something down before I can make it better. So I think that answered most of the questions. Um, as far as like tools for writing, I like Google Docs, which I know a lot of people try to avoid because I think there's something about like you can't write certain things, and if they come across you writing certain things, they might like yank your account and pull all of your files. I've written a lot of really interesting things, and that's never happened to me, but that's not to say that it doesn't happen. But I like Google Docs because it's all in the cloud. So if my laptop dies tomorrow, everything I've written is still like in the cloud. Um, I don't know any of the other tools that people use for like formatting because I'm insane and I just do it all myself in like Word, which I don't actually recommend. It's possible, but it sucks.
Yeah.
There's a reason people pay other people to do that sort of thing.
Yes. I too write all of my stuff in Google Docs, and luckily my printers just let me send them the Google Doc and they do the format and squeezing.
Yeah. So the reason all my books are going to be the same size is because once I figured out how to do the template to like make it fit, I didn't want to have to change it. So all of my books will be 5.5 by 8.5 because that's the size that I know now.
And see, that's fine. Don't, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Well, and a lot of people like their books to match too. So like this looks nice because they're all, the same size. So all my books will just be the same size.
It does, no, and I wanna make sure I point out that your background looks awesome.
Thank you. This is just my normal bookshelf. My books are actually like sitting over there because I've been taking them to events, but this is mostly books that I've read or that I bought to read. So
No, that's awesome. I did have a question about something that you mentioned, and I think I do the same thing where you have like a notebook or something that you keep track of things. And I'm always trying to come up with new things to share with others of past failures because if you don't fail once, you're never going to succeed. So whenever we talk about like new writers, what are some things that you notice with like writing in general that either you would like to tell people to be aware of? Like I can't think of an example, but like
so like warnings essentially is what you're asking about, right?
yeah, yeah, because I feel like the M dash is one that is being abused right now because they're saying that M dash is somehow a way to distinguish real writing from AI, things like that. And I'm like, M M dash is M dash, if it's appropriate to use it. So I guess things like that. Like what are some tricks of the trade that you feel like have helped you either with like keeping track of things, like inconsistencies is one thing that really bothers me, especially with TV shows. Um, they're really bad. I was gonna say I was thinking of Game of Thrones that there was like inconsistencies between the book versus the TV show.
For instance. Yeah. Okay. So a couple things popped into mind. The first one I want to say, because it sounded like you were asking like warnings for new writers.
Yeah.
The biggest warning is you should never have to pay somebody to publish your book. If a publisher reaches out to you and says that you have to pay, it's a vanity press, and don't run away. Run very far and fast and don't even like interact with them. So that's my big warning. As far as like the AI stuff, my opinion is that you cannot tell the difference unless somebody literally leaves the prompt that they put in there in the book. Like there's no way to distinguish AI writing from non-AI writing. M dashes have been used forever and they have a real purpose that real writers are going to do. So if an M dash is right for the situation, just use the M dash. Like if somebody is going to say that it's AI because you used a single M dash, that's on them. That's especially if you have the receipts and the proof to say no, I actually wrote this. Um I try not to feed into it too much, although like I'm very vocal about my thoughts about that specifically because I hate the witch hunt. I hate the, "Oh my gosh, they use an M dash," or, what are some of the other ones that they tend to say? There's M dashes, there's short sentences, there's, like they come up with new and creative ways to say that it's not written by a human being.
Yeah.
Um, one of the big things that I know a lot of people get up in arms about is AI artwork. So my dog's bumping my light, I'm sorry. Um, so if you can't afford a book cover, my advice is to use Canva and just create a very simple cover. Like Canva's really easy to use. They have a bunch of stock images, like silhouettes of dragons or shapes or whatever. You can use that and not use AI. If you use AI to make your book cover, you will get canceled. It's just the way that it's going to go because you should be buying art from real people, right? But not everybody can afford it. So if you can't afford it, like really, really simple cover on Canva. Nobody's even going to look twice at it because I mean, the Throne of Glass series, for example, super simple covers. They're just words. So it doesn't have to be fancy. Um, and even like in marketing or creating videos, the other tip I would have for new writers is to try to avoid AI there too, because that's also going to get you canceled, even if it's like, I don't know, an AI filter, for example. that's still gonna make people mad. So you can't really win, unfortunately. But it's essentially my advice is to just write the way you wanna write, create the story you wanna create, um, and maybe keep receipts or something if you feel like you're concerned that someone will think it's AI. Like, the artwork for my books, she sends me works in progresses multiple times throughout the process, and I'm screenshotting them all the time. Not necessarily because of AI specifically, sometimes it's just because I wanna show my friend, but, like, that also gives you the receipts to be like, "No, this was actually painted by a real person, and I have the proof." So, I don't know if there's anything else specifically. Um, did you have any specific questions about stuff like that?
Oh gosh, all the questions. But to keep it relevant to folks, I guess here before we talk about gathering stuff, because this is more just like personal curiosity too, but also that conversation of AI and fantasy. So as a fantasy author, what are your thoughts on using AI to generate images? Like of the book for promotional.
Um, I don't personally use it. Um, I won't judge people who do use it. So if it's like for an ad, for example, it's like a presentation type thing, I don't personally have a problem with it. I won't do it just because I know it'll get people canceled, but, like, if essentially, if somebody else does it, I'm not going to complain about it. I work in IT, so I'm around AI literally all the time, whether I want to be or not, and it's never gonna go away. So, like, my general rule of thumb is if you're having an image generated, it if you're going to be using the artwork in your book for your book, if it's going to be like fantasy type artwork, like character art, you should be paying a real person. If it's for just like putting your book on a cool background, eh, I don't really have an opinion one way or the other. I just for my like personal reasons, I just won't do it. But hopefully that answers your question.
No, it does. I totally get it because and like you said, you're in IT, so you're surrounded by it all the time. So I mean, there's so many pros and cons to it. But
Oh, and I know there are a lot of people too I've heard that will like use it to generate an image because they just can't picture something, which I can see its use in that case, and that's why I say, like, I'm not gonna judge anybody for using it, I just literally try to avoid it as much as humanly possible. Um, Working in IT, I can't, but for, like, my writing, I can, so I tend to not use it at all unless, I think the only thing I use it for personally is I'll get stuck sometimes where I wanna use a word, but I can't remember what the word is. I can describe the word to you, but, like, I just can't think of it. So I have maybe 3 or 4 times gone in and been like, "Hey, I need a word for this specific thing," and then immediately it gives me the exact word I was trying to think of, and so, like, that's a case where it's definitely helpful.
a
But,
perfect example of that is I forgot the word for controller the other night.
yeah.
Why?
Well, what was the one that I did use it for? Because there was one specific gluttony. That was the word I couldn't think of. I was trying to say scene in the book where she was trying to basically say that humans are always overusing resources, right?
Yeah.
And so I that's what I wanted to say, but I knew there was a word for it, and I Googled it, and immediately it was gluttony, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I
Nice.
knew it existed. It just wasn't in my brain."
Yeah. I love it. So leaving the world of AI behind and getting back into the safe bubble of the gathering.
Yeah.
So I know you were with us at Gathering 5. So I also know that you've been to other events. One of the ones I was really jealous of, it looks so cool, the authors ball in DC. Um the fantasy
Oh,
ball.
yes.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
looks really cool. So, as an author that's been traveling now, what to you makes events magical?
Oh. Um, it's a weirdly hard question to answer because I feel like each event is different, and each event has been magical in its own way. So there's not one thing that I feel like I can say makes it magical, except maybe across all of them, it's always been the community. So, like in DC, for example, that particular event was actually really awful for all the authors involved for other reasons. But all the people there were awesome. Like everybody was dressed up in costume. Everybody was complimenting each other. Like you could walk up to a random group of people and immediately make friends. Um, and then I went to another one called Fantasy Forge in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, and that one had a ball, but the way that it was marketed, most of the people at the ball were actually just the authors that had been at the event all day. Um, but another situation where, like, you could just walk into the room in full garb, whether it was a fantasy ball gown or a cosplay or whatever, and you could make new friends and you could just hang out with really, really cool people. So, I guess the one thing that will always make an event magical is the community, but the other parts are, like, the openness to being immersive, the ability to just be authentically yourself and, like, dress however you want to, act however you want to, pretend to be an elf, pretend to be a vampire, have an accent, like, I don't know. Those are my favorite parts of, like, Renaissance fairs too, so I don't know if that fully answers the question, but that's yeah. And Gathering 5 was the highlight of my entire year last year. Like, so funny story. When I saw it posted, I had wanted to go to all the other ones, but they were always weekends that I was at Ren Fair. And then I saw the video like the day after Norse posted it, and I was like, "Oh my god, I can go to this one. It's on my birthday."
Oh, that's awesome.
So, yeah. I was laying in bed half awake. My husband works nights. He had just come to bed to go to sleep. And I saw it and I was like, "Oh my god, like it's on my birthday. I can actually go to this one. It's in North Carolina." And like all this stuff. And then we looked at the calendar and he had to work that weekend. And he was like, "Oh, I guess you can't go." And I was like, "I'm going by myself. I don't care." And like if you knew me in that moment, you would have absolutely thought I was crazy because I've never traveled by myself, like, ever at all. I was always scared to go anywhere alone, but that was a moment where I was like, "You know what? This is gonna be a great time. I'm not gonna miss this. There's gonna be really cool people there." Like, Taco, for example, I actually did a photo shoot with him, so I was like, "I'll know at least one person at the gathering. He probably won't have time to talk to me, but I know one person." Um, and then I ended up finding a friend to bring with me, but, like, it was the most amazing time. Everybody at the camp that I was in was incredible, like, we all helped each other. I think I braided, like, 3 or 4 different guys' hair so that they would have a braid to look more Viking. Um, I don't know, it was just a really, really cool and fun event, so I'm excited to be back again.
And see, that is an awesome perspective because it was the same for me. I went to Gathering 3 and then had so much fun that I decided to be a vendor at the next one.
Yeah.
So for you, because I mean, there was some weird, funny behind the scenes stuff at Gathering 3. So for you at Gathering 5, what was that experience like as a patron?
It was, I don't even know if I can describe it in, like, a very short set of words. So when we first got there and we walked up, we were pretty late. Like I think we got there maybe an hour or not even that before the dinner Friday was supposed to start. So we showed up finally. We got up to the gate and she was like, "So we have the different guilds, I forget what they all were, the Sanctuary, the Bards Guild, the Fighters Guild, whatever." The moment that she said the Bards Guild was 21 plus, my friend and I looked at each other and we were like, "That's where we're going." And then we went back there and like I said, everybody was super, super cool. So it was just it was almost like stepping into another world. because even when you got to the camp, obviously we're not in like fantasy tents, but everybody had their garb on already. Everybody was fully essentially in character. Um and then the entire rest of the weekend we were all fully in character the entire time. Like even back at the Bard's camp, we had music playing and we were all dancing around the fire and like having drinks and just having a great time. Um so it was, as a patron, it was cool because I got to step out of the real world for like 2.5 days and just have a really good time and make a lot of new connections and meet new people. Um, but yeah, so that alone made me want to come back. I didn't know if I wanted to come back as a vendor or as a patron because it was so much fun as a patron or a guest, like being able to wander around with a bottle of mead and just have a good time. Um, but I eventually decided to come back as an author just because, like, I could have somebody else man my tent if I wanted to go around, and I don't have to man my tent for the after hours stuff. So last year, I didn't do the nerd prom. We hung out at the Bards Guild and we're playing tabletop games and D&D and whatnot. But this year, I really want to go to the nerd prom and see what it's like.
It's so much fun, can confirm, and they're gonna do it in the gaming hall this time. Because I think
Okay.
isn't it just in the open field there by the stage?
Yeah, because we could hear it at our camp, like, and that was that was the funny part is there were moments where we were like, "Should we just go over there? Like, it sounds like it's kind of fun," but we were in the middle of I forget what game we were playing. Something Dungeons& and Dragons, like, tangentially related, but
Yeah,
yeah.
and see that's the kind of stuff that you can get into. Those of you that are just those of you that are just joining, NorseForged Gathering is a fantasy fair held in New London, North Carolina, where there will be camping, cosplay, fun festivities, and fruit roll-ups. So if you are interested in all of those things and also meeting this amazing author, Kayla Robinson, be sure to join us. Link is in the bio, norseforgegathering.com for tickets and info and all of the things. Um, so before I turn it over to chat for questions, I did want to ask for you to share your final thoughts. And I mean, there's so many things that make you magical, clearly. But what are some things that you feel like make you magic that you would like for folks to know whenever they do come up to your tent?
Um, a harder question to answer than I thought, and I think you even sent it to me ahead of time. um, I do actually practice witchcraft like outside of what I write in my books. So some of the things that I incorporate are actual like real life magical things or real life practices that some people do. Uh, and one of the things that's sort of an overarching theme of my books is the Morrigan, which is a deity that most people are afraid of. I have a respectful fear, but she's not necessarily like the scary bad thing that most people make her out to be. So I think that's probably something that's kind of magical because I feel like she had a hand in some of these books when I was channeling and writing them and doing all of that. So
That is so
yeah.
cool. And
But,
again, so much.
and yeah. And the only other thing I'll mention, I feel like I mentioned this in my intro video, but I am bringing a book that's not going to be published yet to the gathering, and I will have copies of that available. So,
Yay! Oh, do we get any teasers? Any little like sprinkles of info?
um, I don't know if I could sprinkle anything without it being a spoiler, but this is the second book in the series. I'll only have about 100 copies, I think is what I'm planning. It might be 50. Let's just say 50, unless I do manage to get 100 in time. Um, but yeah, I will probably have a sign up sheet for like arcs for the next book, which is also complete. So like the whole universe is done. I already know what happens with everything in it, but yeah.
So the series of the new one that you're bringing. So will there be a long wait time?
Um, like, to get the book, you mean?
Yes.
Or no, I'll have the copies there, so, like, if you buy them, you can take them home with you there. So it won't publish until June 21st, but I can do
Oh,
pre-release copies, so that's what I'm bringing with me to do. Um, I will have character art to go with it. It'll oh, I don't have it anywhere over here, but it'll be like a little postcard of the character art to go in the book with it. And yeah, you'll get it a month before most people if you get it at the gathering. So
woo! I love it.
that was like the one thing I've been trying so hard to make happen, and so I literally just got the test copy like 3 days ago.
That
So
is so awesome. So
I
brand
was
new.
hoping it'd come in time for this too.
That is exciting. So I definitely want one of those copies to be mine.
You can absolutely have one. It'll probably only be paperback, so if you prefer hardcover, let me know and I can try to make sure I have a couple of those too. But I'm prioritizing paperbacks because I think most people prefer the cheaper options. But
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um so let's see. If there are no more questions, then I will take the opportunity to ask you some questions too.
sure, yeah, whatever.
And also, shout out to hubby Blue Eyed Demon for DMing. Round of applause. You're doing amazing, sweetie.
I love that.
Yeah. So here's a fun question that like I think would apply in any situation because book writing is its own separate beast as we all know. But for you, what is it like to balance that work hobby life? Because you also have a farm.
Yeah.
How do you do
um,
it?
sleep is for the weak. No, I'm just kidding. Um,
Yeah.
so it's changed over time. Originally, like through the first 3 books that I wrote, I had a full-time job where I worked 10-hour days Monday through Thursday. I taught riding lessons full-time as well. So Monday through Thursday nights, I was out teaching until almost 9 o'clock. And then usually on the weekends, I was at horse events. So realistically, free time was non-existent. So I basically just wrote when I came in for the night. So I'd start writing at like 9 o'clock, and then by about 10:30, when I was finally tired, I would go to bed. So I won't call that balance. That was not balanced at all. But then when we relocated to Kentucky, we didn't realize quite how in the middle of nowhere we were moving to. And because of that, my horse business has, like, not done really much of anything at all, which gave me a crap ton more free time. I still have to take care of the horses, obviously, but I made my farm basically easy. I use that term lightly, it's not actually easy, but, like, I made it as, easy as I could, so my horses are out all the time, which means I don't have to clean stalls anymore. Um, and like I have arranged it such that I pretty much only have to go out and check on them once a day, make sure they're all good, make sure they're all alive, and then I can come back in and do what I need to do. I still have my full-time job, but now like I have much more balance to where I'm not writing so late into the night if I don't want to. Like, I can finish work and I can go start writing, or I can finish work and I can, like, go out or do something, and I don't have to feel like I'm putting myself on a crazy time crunch. So, the problem is that I have ADHD and I will hyperfixate on things. So, if an idea is in my head, I tend to finish the book in a month, which is insane. But, like, that's if all the conditions are right, like, if I don't hit writer's block, obviously. So with Navara's book, which I can't announce the title for yet because that's not public yet, um, that one, I literally finished in a month. Like, I started it the beginning of January, and I finished it by the end of January, I think, or something around there, so
That is a hell of a feat.
Yeah. Well, my typing speed is kind of insane, and when I really get into it, like, I can knock out thousands of words pretty quickly. So this past Sunday, for example, I did 12,000 words on a totally separate project, which I think I'm up to. Hold on, I can tell you exactly how many words I have. I wanna say I almost reached 20,000 the other day. Last night, actually. 18,899 since Sunday.
Dang, girl. Get it. Get that hustle.
So when you ask about balance, there really isn't any.
But
It's either
it
a
does
flood
like
or a trickle or, you know.
yeah, because it sounds like, once you get that waterfall flow, just let it flow. Don't try and stop it. Like you said, sleep is for the weak.
Yeah. Yeah, no, literally, like, sometimes I will be in such a flow state that I won't know what time it is, and all of a sudden I'm like, "Oh shit, it's midnight. I have to work tomorrow." Like, but I also am really, really lucky because I have a salaried job. So, like, I can adjust my schedule within reason, obviously. I can't be, like, 2 hours late to work, but I can move it around to make farm stuff work, I can move it around to make life stuff work, so it also helps to keep somewhat of a balance with writing too.
Mhm. Yes, and you're right, Sharky, it is a sliding scale, because you, like, sometimes that'll work, but sometimes, like, you can get burnout too, and that's like, "Okay, maybe I will set a timer, so I will make sure I go to bed."
Yeah, yeah. I When I was writing Navarra's book, by the time I got to the end of that, I was exhausted. 'Cause I just, like, just kept going and going and going and going, and then all of a sudden it was done, and I was like, "Oh god, okay, give me, like, 2 weeks to just sleep." And, I think I was posting a little bit about being in a writing slump, that lasted 3 days.
Hey, if it only lasts 3 days, that is a good thing.
It is, but I was hoping to take, like, a 2 or 3 month break from writing, and it was, like, a week and a half at best, because I was in the slump for 3 days, and then I was slowly crawling out of it, and then everything just started to flow again, so
That that is amazing. You're such an inspiration.
I don't know what to say to that.
I mean,
I'm terrible
well,
at accepting compliments, by the way.
I mean, same, but I'm just saying, like, I think that embodies like wanting something and then going for it and just letting the creativity happen and that is just like not everybody can do that. So just hell of an appreciation for that dude. That's awesome.
Yeah. It's if somebody tells me I can't do something, I have to prove them wrong. So, no one's told me that I couldn't do this, but for some reason, I'm just chugging along like the little engine that could. Because something's gonna work eventually, right? Someone's gonna see the book, and then everybody's gonna know about the book, and then it'll be a bestseller. So that's one day. We'll be there.
Yes. And I feel like it'll be sooner rather than later.
I hope so. I'm gonna laugh if the book that I haven't even titled yet ends up being the one that makes me a bestseller, because that is the one that I would think is least likely, but I'm not gonna complain either way.
Exactly. I mean, you never know what could happen.
Yeah, true.
Um, so, but before we give final thoughts, would you like to leave us with because you are really great at the author blurbs for your book series. Would you like to leave us with a final blurb thought for your series?
Um, I can do my most recent series. Sorry, I was, like, buffering because 'cause I'm like, I don't know if I could do a blurb for the whole thing, because it's technically, like, standalones even though it's all connected. Um, but so my most recent published one, which is I'll have the second book for this one at the Gathering. This one is about a disgraced princess who goes on an impossible mission to regain her throne and a famous assassin who ruins any chance she had. So it would be like taking Throne of Glass and crossing it with Avatar: The Last Airbender. Um, I kind of took Zuko and Aang and sort of smashed them together a little bit, but you get a little bit more of Zuko and Slade, the main male character, and you get a little bit more of Aang in Liza, the main female character. So it's enemies to lovers, slow burn, forced proximity, one bed, he falls first, touch her in, romantasy. So I don't know if I can say that word on YouTube. I know I can't say it on TikTok.
It's fine. So, okay,
I have
so,
all kinds of
sorry.
Oh, no, you're good. I was just saying I have all kinds of, like, alternative words for things because of TikTok's filtering,
No, I got
but
you. That's
yeah.
awesome. So you can find the book series at NorseForged Gathering, May 22nd through 24th in New London, North Carolina. Tickets and details and all of Kayla's info is linked in our NorseForged Gathering website under vendors. So you can be sure and find her, order her books, and support her and follow her, all the things.
Yeah, and I don't think I'll do, like, pre-orders for the event, but I will have plenty, so hopefully you'll be able to get your copy there.
Amazing, amazing. And thank you so much again for joining me. This has genuinely been so much fun, and like getting to talk to another author is like a very high privilege. So, round of applause. Thank
And
you.
thank you so much for having me. This was really fun.
Yay! I'm so glad. Because you said before we started this was going to be your first interview, and to me that's a really cool honor. So, thank you for being here.
Yeah, and thank you for being patient with me when I was, like, buffering because I didn't know what to say.
No, dude. I love that you use buffering. That's accurate and felt.
Yeah. Well,
So
it's I Oh, go
go.
ahead.
No, you first.
I was gonna say the word buffering was in my head because I get a lot of has been hotel edits on TikTok, and one of them recently was just the song where Vox or no, Alistair says, "Oh no, the TV is buffering." So that's where the word came from.
That's hilarious. My best friend watches that show.
I love that show so much. Season 1, meh. Season 2, chef's kiss.
I'm gonna have to say that next time where because we game together, and at some point I'm just gonna go buffering and see if he gets it.
He might, maybe, I don't know. That's one of the better songs I feel like where they say that, but
I love it. Um, so before we sign off, are there any final thoughts you would have? I'm super excited to see you at the gathering.
I'm so excited to go to the gathering this year. I'm excited to finish planning all of my cosplays. I'm excited to see all the friends that I met last year and meet new awesome people. And the fact that it's longer this time just makes it even better. So, I guess that's the only thing I could say is the gathering's awesome and you should go.
Yes.
You'll
What?
find your people.
Yes, you do. And your people find you.
Yes. Yeah. Like I have a couple other random people who aren't in the camp that I made friends with that I still talk to. So, yeah. The gathering's awesome. It brings a lot of really cool people together.
It really does. And you are one of those incredible people. And I'm so glad that you're going to be a vendor and have your books, all your babies.
Are you a vendor this year? Will we get to be next to each other, maybe?
I will be so the vendors will be in the same spot as they were last year. I will be doing the children's activity zone. So if you remember where the showers were
Okay.
at, that's where I'm gonna be.
Yes. Okay, I got you.
Yes.
Well, then I'll have to come by at some point. Hopefully when the tent's not as crazy. Hopefully the tent's crazy all the time, but like, we'll see.
Yes. Well, if anything, I will deliver a fruit roll up to you.
I will take a fruit roll up for sure. I'm sure I'll need it. Sugar to get me through the day.
I should just have a bag with them at this point.
Just walk around and hand them to random people. Like, here's your trinket.
Yeah, yeah. The fruit
I
roll-up
love
fairy,
that.
because I'm gonna be next to the fairies. Why can't I be the fruit roll-up fairy?
Just put on your elf ears and you can be a fairy.
Yes,
Get a
exactly.
little set of wings. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Well, this has been so much fun. Thank you again for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you in 3 months. Yes, read Costco size fruit roll up. Is That's exactly what I envision.
Well, thank
So
you again for having me.
yes, and that 3 months is gonna go by quick. So I will see you very soon.
Sounds good.
Thank you so much, and thank you, chat, and thank you, Reed.
Thank you. Thanks,
Okay, love y'all.
everybody.
Bye.